agricultural plots, one of the necessary factors to plan the fertilization is the level of fertility in the topsoil. The surface layer modified by tillage has the most favorable conditions for root development. The purpose of soil sampling is to obtain information about the soil. The objective of the sampling design is to evaluate soil properties at the lowest possible cost by obtaining a sample that is representative of the entire plot. To analyze the soil, a small sample, about 1 kilogram, is taken to obtain information about the nutritional status of the whole plot. If the plot has an area of 1 hectare and the topsoil is to a depth of 20 centimeters, the soil volume is then 2,000 cubic meters. The mass of the soil depends on its degree of compaction. If one considers a density of 1,500 kilograms per cubic meter, the mass of soil with which we are dealing is 3 million kilograms. The results of the analysis of the soil sample will be applied to all the plot. To achieve our objective, we should then proceed as follows. Select the sampling area. Sampling. Formation of a composite sample. Determination of bulk density. The first step to follow when sampling is to draw a rough or approximate sketch to scale of the plot, noting those factors that may condition the soil nutrient level, such as solar energy received, which in turn depends on the inclination of the sun. This condition is estimated by the relative position of the plot on the north-south axis. In our geographical position, the position of the sun above the horizon at solar noon indicates the south. Solar noon occurs at 1 p.m. in wintertime or 2 p.m. in summertime. Irrigation systems. Water can carry nutrients to the lower end of the plot. If irrigation is applied by overflowing, this should be shown in the drawing, marking the entry point of the water and the direction of the flow. Areas of movement of machinery and loading or unloading of fertilizers should be also noted. Accidental spills can cause high local concentrations of nutrients in the soil. Singular points as loading and unloading areas and water storage areas should be eliminated from the sampling. On the plot that meets the appropriate conditions, between 4 and 16 points are to be selected randomly for sampling in each of them. Soil samples can be disturbed samples, that is, changing the relative position of the soil during sampling, or undisturbed samples taken with a rigid cylinder that does not change the soil structure and can then be used to calculate the volume of the soil sampled. Disturbed samples are usually taken for fertility analysis. Soil samples at different points are always taken at the same depth with the purpose of taking the same amount of soil. If you don't want a sampling probe, you must make a hole to the desired depth and take the sample from one of the walls. If in all of the points you have taken the same amount of sample and in all of them the same depth has been reached, the soil mixture should be representative of the soil in that plot. If, after mixing all the soil samples, the amount collected is still too large to be transported to the laboratory, we should then repeat the procedure and select a smaller subsample by quartering. All the samples should be put on a canvas sheet, mixing well the soil. Then the mixture is spread on the sheet and is divided into 4 quarters. Take one of the quarters and discard the rest. If the remaining soil sample is still too big, repeat the procedure. The collected sample is labeled and stored for transport to the laboratory to perform the standard analysis. Half a kilo sample is normally sufficient, provided the soil is not rocky. To determine soil bulk density, it is necessary to have a tube of known volume with a sharp edge in the lower part. Such probes cannot be used on stony soils, though. With the help of a spatula, scrape off both the upper and the lower levels to obtain a known volume of soil. Then soil moisture is eliminated by drying in an oven at 105 degrees Celsius to constant weight and wade. The relationship between mass of dry soil and its volume is the bulk density. It is worth pointing out a fundamental element for all sampling designs. The analysis will never be better than the samples that have been taken. Therefore, you should be very careful to ensure that the samples are representative of the overall plot.